To our events where heart-led visionary leaders create legacy of impact and income through the channel of entrepreneurship and do more good in the world. You will get access to all our amazing speakers today and walk away with great wisdom and inspiration so that you can level up yourself and your business to the next level. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another speaker panel event here at the Live School. I'm so excited to be back with you. I have another amazing lineup of amazing speakers and experts today for you to help you level up yourself to the next level. Thank you so much for joining us. And before I bring all our amazing speakers onto our virtual stage, I would love to remind you that the Live School helps purpose-driven leaders to build a legacy company that does more good in the world through the operations of branding, marketing, sales, systems, and teams. Again, so they can align their purpose with profits. Our vision is to empower purpose-driven business leaders to use their life's purpose through legacy entrepreneurship. And then our mission is to become the most influential, global, impactful community in purposeful entrepreneurship. And then lastly, our values are community, connection, service, and contribution. So without further ado, I would love to introduce all our amazing speakers today joining us globally from virtually all around the world. I do hear a little background noise. So for my speakers here today, if you can just mute yourselves until I'm able to come to you so that we can get to know you and all the amazing work that you're doing out there in the world. So I'd love to start my conversation today with George Gonzalez. George, thank you so much for coming on. Looking forward to having you here, and thank you for your time. And I start off with the same question for my guest. If you could share some of the most meaningful moments that led you to the work that you're doing today, that way we could get to know you a little bit better as well.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here. I want to say that the most impactful thing for me was hearing a whisper and knowing something. I got into real estate because I heard a whisper real estate. I published my book because I was told and called to write my book. I was also spoken, I was going to call my book a certain title, and a whisper came in and said, no, it's this title. So it's just those whispers of really being obedient when you're being called to do something. That's what's done it for me.
Oh man, wow! I think we all have heard some sort of version of our whispers. We might call it different things, but it's that inner voice, intuition, inner calling, right? That leads us to really the next steps in our journey. I love that. So, what is your book about? And also, what is it that you do out there in the world? How do you help other people? How do you serve others?
My book is called Answer the Call, and Answer the Call is about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose. And I help people find their gifts, their talents, and pursue their life's purpose uh, through triggering their idea of who they are, and to really go deep within themselves and really find out. Wait a minute, this is who I'm supposed to be. This is not who I'm supposed to be right now. It's this new future of me, but I gotta tap into these gifts and these talents.
Well, George, you're in the right place. We're always interested in discovering ourselves because I believe that that awareness as a human being then, of course, makes us very successful and gives us a competitive edge in our businesses as well. So, what are some of the maybe the methodology that you take your readers through inside your book or even through your day-to-day work that you help others discover their inner gifts and then start applying those, or their purpose in your case, and then start applying those to contribute towards themselves and then other people in society overall?
I usually try to find relatable experiences and relatable things that my clients and the people that I talk to are going through, that I can share my experiences of what I've overcome. Because usually it's through going through some adversity and some catastrophic event, that's when you really get a shift of who you're supposed to be now. Because it's almost like when you put an address in Google Maps and your map tells you turn left and you don't. So guess what? Now you're going to go the long way, through rough terrain, through a dangerous neighborhood, through hills, through bumps and whatnot, until you end up being back on course to where you're supposed to be. And life is the same way. Life will hit us. It'll hit punches in the gut. It'll trip us because we're going in the wrong direction because we should have turned right or left like 2 miles ago.
Absolutely. In those moments of adversity is where even though it's so challenging, right, and we are missing that clarity, usually they're the stepping stones towards clarity in the path of what we're looking for, and it helps us connect a lot of those dots based on sort of how we want to start applying that information that we have gained, and then awareness that we have learned about ourselves. I think it's a really important piece, and most people go about this that route, right? I rarely hear that, I mean, depending on your practice also, right? If you maybe have practiced a lot of, and you have included a lot of tools to your personal growth or spiritual growth, and maybe it will come to you through another version. But unfortunately, most of the time I hear it through challenges that we have overcome, and I could so also relate to that personally. George, what are some of the things that hold people back from discovering their gifts and ultimately their purpose, you feel, in your perspective?
I think we can all put ourselves in this place where we're afraid of criticism. We're afraid of something different because we're so used to where we're at. You know, to be discomfort is really scary. But when life really sends you through adversity or some catastrophic event, you have no choice but to do something different. This is what life that's why we're giving these things, these parts of our life where, okay, if you're not going to do it the easy route, then you're going to have to go it the rough route, which is an accident. Like I had, like 3 or 4 things that happened to me, and every time that happened to me, I came out in a better position on the other side, through after being laid off, after an injury, after a betrayal, something that I was planning on, it didn't come out right, and it went into a different direction. Like, wait a minute, this actually turned out better than I thought it was. But had I should have gone that direction, I wouldn't have, because I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that's where I'm supposed to go, because I don't know nothing about that side yet. But it was life that said, oh, no, 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 this is where you're supposed to be at. So I'm gonna mess up your plan there, and you're gonna have no choice but to make this decision.
Mm. So it's all redirection, isn't it, at the end of the day? And
Yes.
yeah, as humans, we like that control. We like knowing. And when things don't go our way, at least from the surface or from our level of awareness, we get frustrated, right? Because our expectation doesn't really match our results. And that's a blueprint for pain for most of us. But if we understand just to sit back and really learn from each experience and put those curious hats on, which we all have them, we can absolutely derive a lot of great insight around each of those challenges or experiences that we face. Thank you so much, George, for everything that you shared so far. I will definitely give you the opportunity to share more around your book and all the amazing resources that you have put together for people that resonate with that message. And I think at the end of the day, thank God, I think a COVID spiked this for sure, but most of us are now understanding how important it is to discover our own unique gifts, align with our purpose, and then do work that means something to us. I think we understand the concept of time, the concept of legacy. Most of us are really taking that time to align with the work we do. So I think it's really powerful work that you're doing there personally with people, and I'm sure they are applying that professionally, whether it's their business or their careers. So thanks so much for sharing that. And moving on to my next guest speaker today, Chloe. Chloe, I'm going to attempt your last name without in the hopes that I'm not butchering it. Couturier? You
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah. Hello. It's so wonderful to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Elona, and happy to be here. I'm Dr. Chloe Couturier.
Oh, couturier.
Yeah,
Wow, I was off. Is that French?
it is French. Yes,
Love. Mm.
although I'm more American than French. I've been living in the U.S. way longer than I lived in France. So it's so wonderful to hear everything so far because it resonates so much with who I am and what I'm about. And did you want me to to answer the question that you were asking, or are you going to ask me your questions?
Yes, please, Chloe. Before I dive into some of the insightful questions around the work you're doing that I think will serve our audience, if you could share some of the most meaningful moments that led you to the work you're doing out there in the world as well.
It's the healing. I'm a healthcare practitioner, but not a regular healthcare practitioner. I'm interested in the self-care and the self-health and empowering people to teach them well so that people can learn how to take care of themselves properly and get results. And that's what I have promoted with people over a period of 30 years, helping people learn on how to care well for themselves and learning to empower the healing process, which is an inherent gift that we're all born with. And so I have been witnessing over 30 years, 3 generations of people that have been treated in my family practice. And what I observe in the elders is the longevity and good health, and how people are able to maintain their good health over time, naturally, without the need of drastic medicine and surgeries. And that in itself, I think it's really important for people to know that we have options and that we need to be empowered to be able to have access to this information. And so that's pretty much what I have been up to. And so it's really about health and wellness, but I have been doing it way before it was, in vogue as it is now. And so I have a lot of experience with this, and pretty much my tools are craniosacral and Qigong, which is the merging of Eastern with Western medicine. And so Qigong is thousands of years old of Eastern medicine that's transmitted from master to student for those years, thousands of years, because it works. As if it was not working, it would have disappeared a long time ago. I was awarded last September at the 23rd World Congress on Integrative Health, the high privilege of Medical Qigong Master of the Year. And there were 4 constituents from East and West coming together to give me this award and recognizing my work. And craniosacral is an evolution of osteopathy, which also represents a transmission from the Western world of medicine. So my uniqueness is to bridge the Eastern with the Western medicine information through a practice, teaching people, empowering them so they remain healthy with the seasons, and then of course the children and the grandchildren come around and they learn also. And so it's really exciting to see the evolution of this work over the years.
Chloe, I love that. Self-care, we all are understanding how important that is, and we start with that before we can serve our whoever else that we feel the most compelled to serve, right? Starting with our little inner circles all the way to the, I guess, wider circles of society moving forward. I love your unique methodology. I've actually never heard of that before. So tell us more around your methodology in how you help your clients with self-care, and then the piece of the healing, the healing piece as well. So is there like a certain is there certain pillars that you follow that you have maybe repeated over time with your clients? Because I'm sure once we do our work and create massive transformations, there's always a process behind how we actually get people those results. So what can you share on your unique methodology when it comes to self-care through healing?
So I'm basically a good order taker, but it's all about knowing where to get the order from, right? And I base my information on following lineages. And so the lineages from the Eastern model, as I said, is a transmission that's passed on. And it's very important to find a lineage that goes back, many, many generations, because then we know that it's a valid transmission. It's basically a practice. And so we teach people how to have good posture, because if the posture is affected, then it can create compression in the nerves and it will affect the central nervous system, it will affect the blood pressure, it will affect all kind of aspects of our lives. And we all, in the age of the computer, we're all, going to be suffering from from these. So posture, breathing, something. We need to learn how to be relaxed, meditating, being able to clear the mind, so that we're not like bombarded constantly with information and not being able to process it. So it's really going back to the craniosacral system, cranium sacrum, which is a core link intelligence in the body, and so making sure that core link intelligence is maximized so that we can have access to a good functional central nervous system, a brain that works well and that communicates well with the body, and a mind, because it's all different parts of who we are. And the mind needs to be learning how to be quiet so that we can be in a peaceful state to really hear, like George was saying, that inner voice inside, that whisper that is whispering to us, like it's whispering to me too. And that's why I like to clear my mind to be able to have to access to this whisper, which gives me the orders. And that's why I'm a good order taker, because I follow this good, direction, which is pretty much the alignment between heaven and earth. And so, yes, I'm an Earthian, and I live on the earth, but I'm also connected with the heavens through my spirituality and, these other components of belief system and imagination. So this is all we tap into, and that's what I teach to people, and I guide them to make sure that posture is good, guide them and teach them into have breathing properly. And there's this alchemy and all this other information that comes as it's transmitted from the teachers from the East, which is full of parables and alchemy and symbology that is so rich in tapping into the intelligence, but also the, the the imagination part that continues to create more imagination and develop our creativity. Now, when it comes to what I do with the people, is also hands-on, where I place them in my hands, and I will listen to their bodies. And again, it's all about good order taker, being a good order taker. I'm going to listen to their body's wisdom and their body's intelligence. And because of my skills of 30 years of doing this work and being trained by masters who are trained by masters, and that's why I'm a world master, because, those people know about my background and my training and my experience and who I've studied with. And so because of all of this, when people come and put their heads on my hands or whatever part of the body is in contact with my hands, then the information is delivered from my hands to them and vice versa. There's an interface and a reciprocity, as you mentioned earlier. So with this, the healing takes place. It's not about me doing anything. It's just facilitating and empowering and giving the good feedback. It's like, yeah, right there. And it's like, feel that? Yes, there it is. See, that's the learning. It can be as simple as that. I feel it. I let them know. It's not even me telling them. Will just say right there. And then the body and their body and their mind is like a reset at this moment. There's this inner knowing that we're back on track. We're back on the highway. It's like connecting the dots. And I also talk about this in my book as well. And that's why I love about, what you always say, Elona, about those dots. And how we can look back and look as those dots get connected. But that's also how the practice is. Because every day when we practice and we get the dots and we connect the dots with the practice little by little, the information, electromagnetic information, is able to circulate faster and faster and easier. And that's a skill. You also talk about this. I've been listening to your information, and you're so good at describing all of this, So that's who I am, what I do.
Thank you so much, Chloe. I love that integrative, holistic approach that you mentioned. And yes, I felt your healing abilities already. I already feel calmer. But I love that you teach people, you empower them to really access these tools. I love that you said that I'm an order taker, right? Because once you really understand how to channel a lot of these different things, they're all inside of us. And the listening to our body piece is something I'm currently working on. So I love that, through all the different approaches and your methodology. You also empower other people to be able to do this for themselves and really work with that sustainability piece as well. Because once you learn it, once it becomes part of you, then it goes into that subconscious, and we can just pull on it or kind of, help us derive it or use it as a tool whenever we need, based on, all the, I guess, pressures of our everyday life. So your work is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Chloe. And I'll come back to you at the end for more information on your book and more resources that I'm sure you have built over time for people that are maybe new to your work and new to this work overall, or even people that are looking for a solution at this time. Thank you so much for sharing that. And moving on to my next guest speaker today, Tom Palladino. I think I was right with the pronunciation there, Tom. Welcome. Same question for you. If you could share some of the most meaningful moments that lead to the work you're doing today. Looking forward to getting to know you better.
Hi, everybody. Tom Palladino. I'm calling in from Florida, Sunshine State. I'm in my laboratory for a reason. I am a scalar energy researcher, and I believe this technology can change our lives for the better. So I've always tried to, if you will, work through energy, work through technology to improve the human condition. And it's a pleasure being part of the roundtable and bringing solutions to our problems.
I love that. Innovative solutions, right? And using technology as a tool as we also embrace our humanity. I think it's absolutely where we're heading. So tell us more around, the work that you're doing so we get a better understanding. How is it that we can apply this into our day-to-day, you feel?
All right. So I am a scientist, so I'm going to speak to you on this level of scalar energy technology. I work with instruments. This is a scalar energy instrument. I'll show the audience, in which we can harness the energy from the sun and the stars. It's not, if you will, electricity. And with this energy, this life force energy, we can do incredible things. We can balance the chakras. The instruments have been shown to identify a microbe, a bacterium or a fungus, and obliterate or negate a microbe. Now, again, the purpose of my work is to help humanity. So I need, if you will, a means to promote or at least introduce what I'm doing to the general public. I work at a grassroots level, and that's what I hope to achieve from this Roundtable Summit today, to achieve some type of interest in my groundbreaking work through healing instruments, through what is called the quantum field. It's not electromagnetic, it's scalar energy. It's a different type of energy.
Wow, that's amazing. So let me see if I can bring ourselves back here to our camera on stage. So then, Tom, how is it that we can support you as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, as conscious leaders? How is it that we can support you with your mission and cause?
Prayer, first and foremost. Pray for me, pray for this new technology. What I'm trying to introduce essentially is free energy. I'll explain. If I hold up a light bulb in my hand and pass it close to the instrument, the light bulb will animate. So these are free energy instruments. Okay? And this introduces a new way of living for mankind. We're no longer going to be bound to oil and coal and gas. And using with this energy, these free energy instruments from the sun and the stars, we'll be able to balance our chakras. And that's what we've achieved already, or we're able to eradicate microbes, as I mentioned. How can you support me? Pray. And then tell other people about my groundbreaking research.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. We'll definitely do that as we connect with you further, and also as you also approach and get more advanced in the practical way that we can maybe create a product for us or something that we can do to be able to start utilizing and solving it as a problem. I think that would be pretty cool.
I would like to introduce that really quickly to the group now. I'm presently working with this instrument, and I only work through photographs. People don't come to my laboratory. So maybe this is something we could work on through the entrepreneurs, that people could help me, if you will, get this technology out there. That's what I'm calling upon, the entrepreneurs of the world, working through photographs. It's not biological, it's quantum, it's consciousness.
So working through photographs. So tell me more about that. How is it that we could support you with that?
Well, for instance, today, I work with 500,000 photographs from people around the world. So my goal is to work with at least 1 billion people a year by way of their photograph. This instrument can easily do that because we're outside of time and space. We're not bound by time and space. So I have on my website, we give away 15 days of free sessions. Anybody in the world can sign up for free sessions by way of their photograph. You email us your photograph. So I'm going to direct people to our website.
And what's in it for them? If they submit their photograph, what's the value for them? Can you maybe share that?
We'll balance their chakras, we'll eliminate microbes, and we'll download nutrients all into the quantum field. It's a new science. They have free sessions. I don't charge a penny. 15 days of free sessions.
And of course, I want to get, so much more information. This is so fascinating. So then if they do that and you help them with that, what is some of the results that they can expect?
Oh, well, many people tell us that they no longer have problems with viral infection, herpes, and HIV. Many people say that their arthritis has been addressed. Some people say they have greater mental clarity. The instruments are so strong, it will download into their, if you will, subconscious and conscious mind. So as a new science, it's really just filled with, it's pregnant with potential.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Very fascinating. It's so good to have a scientist amongst our panel today, and looking forward for all of us to be able to support you as well. As science is always progressing, right? Every day there's new information that's being found out. So rather than being afraid of it, embracing it and really, utilizing it as a tool in our lives, I think it's a really important piece. So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for sharing what you just did.
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Moving on to my next guest speaker today on our panel is I love to introduce you, Trista Goforth. Trista, welcome, and looking forward to also getting to know you a little bit better here as well.
Hello, everyone. I am here in southeastern North Carolina, and it's warm. And I love everything that everyone has been saying. It's incredible to be here. Thank you so much, Elona.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's warm. Oh my God, bring that over here to New York. Even though I can't complain, we've had unusually warm winters. It's actually very warm today, even though it's raining. So thank you so much for coming on. And what is the work that you do out there in the world? Can you tell us a little bit about that? And what's the purpose behind the work you do as well?
So I'm an empowerment coach for women, and I specifically focus on spiritual empowerment and natural healing. So, and that has to do with empowering women to really tap into their innate power and figure out what it is that's holding them back from becoming that best version of themselves.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely amazing work as well. So what are some of the problems that you feel your clients encounter before they actually come to you?
I think one of the biggest or the most common problem is we have like a belief system around ourselves. And that comes from how we were raised, how our parents acted, what we were exposed to. So, for example, in my story, I was raised by two hardworking people, but who also had alcohol addictions, and my father had smoked weed. So and then suddenly, a little bit about my story is my father suddenly died when I was 10, and my mom was left with 6 kids to raise on her own from ages 5 to 16. So we were the walls kind of caved in is kind of what it felt like. And I went through this traumatic, phase in my life where, I had anxiety, I had low self-worth. I just was unclear of my direction. By the time I was a teenager, I fell into addictions, smoking weed and drinking. And even though I was in school and I got good grades, emotionally, I wasn't okay. And I had no idea, I had no clarity about who I wanted to be. So my journey and why I'm here to help people, and why I have like was said before, that whisper, as I hit rock bottom and I started to heal myself because I knew life had to be better. Um, I started to hear that whisper that I'm supposed to help other women do the same thing. And it has evolved, but I specialize in helping women break through those limiting patterns and beliefs. Whether that's beliefs about what they can and can't do. A lot of times we don't even know what beliefs we have that are keeping us stuck. All we know is like, I'm stuck here and I want to go there. So that's what I help women do.
I love that. And do you have a specific methodology, your own unique way that you help I guess you are the catalyst for the transformation of your clients? Is there a specific process that you follow that you could share with us?
Yes, there's quite a few things, but basically what I like to do is figure out where my client is, right? And then what is it they tell me about their story, and we figure out, okay, what is their current identity? Okay. And then get clear about where they want to be. Like, what is that dream, that they have that they feel stuck, they can't get there. And creating clarity is super important when you want to change something in your life. You have to get super clear about what you want. So I help them do that. And then also another very large piece of what I do is, like I said before, is tapping into figuring out what it is that's holding you back. Like a recent client, she had anger, she had resentment, she was in a toxic work environment, and she just couldn't leave, even though it was so toxic. But we found out she dealt with that because she experienced the same kind of toxic or treatment as a child. So once she was able to see that, and we do different things to release it, different rituals, could be writing in a journal, it can be different prompts. There's a ancient Hawaiian process that to help release things. So I think releasing and forgiving is a big part of it. And then, having a set plan that helps them to get through that. It's really restructuring how they think, their mindset, figuring out, because everyone's different, So I try to really give a personalized approach, because not all problems are the same and not everyone is stuck for the same reason. So it's really knowing the person and knowing how I can help them with the tools that have helped me. So
Yeah, no, I love that personalized approach, because everyone is in a different place in their journey, right? And we all have different challenges and things that hold us back. So being able to personalize your process to your client is absolutely what will always ensure that they get a bigger transformation that sticks with them and they can sustain. I think that's the other piece that's really important as well. Thank you so much, Trista, for all the amazing work you're doing out there, for sharing thus far.
thank you.
All right, beautiful. Well, so far so good. Oh my gosh, there's always so much learning and inspiration with every panel I do. So I'm so grateful for all my amazing speakers that have showed up today, dedicated their time and also their knowledge and expertise around the areas that they actually are experts in. So moving on to my next guest speaker, Dawn Renee Bova. Dawn, I had the immense pleasure to be interviewed on her podcast, and Dawn had created such a beautiful safe space to have a really cool conversation around a lot of my personal journey, but also some hopefully messages that we're able to relate to our audience there. So Dawn, I'm looking forward to introducing you to more amazing purpose-driven entrepreneurs here, and looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better as well. So what are some of the most meaningful moments that you'd like to share with us around the work that you're doing out there as well?
All right, so I'm just going to introduce myself very quickly. I am a nurse practitioner. I'm a podcast host, international best-selling author, and an internationally collected artist. And I think probably most importantly, I'm an angel mom. My life has been drastically impacted by grief, and it has propelled me on a journey of self-healing and helping others heal as well. So my father died in an automobile accident when he was in his 40s. And I thought that was the worst thing that anyone could ever experience. But then later on in life, my son became a victim of the opioid epidemic. And at 23, he died of an accidental overdose in what we considered to be a safe space, which it wasn't. He was in treatment in Florida. And at that time, there weren't the regulations and the help that there is now, although it's still a huge epidemic. We became very close to his sponsor, who became like an adopted son to us. His parents, his mother was a nurse like me, his father was an attorney like my husband, and they had both passed away. So, we really bonded. And unfortunately, Brian, a couple years later, also overdosed and passed away. So I had to do some really deep soul searching, and creativity was a pathway of healing for me. I started painting, I started sharing that on social media, and I started sharing my heart. I'm very heavily involved in the recovery community, and I help women and men who have lost significant losses in their life. But really what I want to focus on is the fact that I don't have to be an expert, although I've had and last year my grandson died at the babysitter's from what appears to be shaken baby syndrome. So I've had my fill of grief. But I sit here today telling you that I am happy, joyous, and free. And what I teach people and project is that we don't have to be tied to those things that can weigh us down. Yes, it's always going to be a part of my life and a part of my fabric, but that's not who I am. I've done a lot of healing modalities, such as journaling. I studied healing touch, which is similar to Reiki, but it's certified through nursing, and art as a therapy. And what I've discovered is that there's so much. I like science too, like the other gentleman that was on here. There is so much evidence now linking creativity with creating new neural pathways in the brain and fostering healing, permanent healing. So we're always going to have those pathways in the brain that are tied to unpleasant memories or addictions or whatever. But the key is to form new, stronger pathways that can increase the neuroplasticity of the brain, which we know is possible, and keep fostering that growth and getting bigger and better. And you can be happy no matter what. There's a story that I was told many years ago, and there was this man, and he was in prison for life. And they went and interviewed him, and he was at peace, happy, joyous, free. And the key to that was he made a conscious decision to be happy, joyous, and free. And what he said is that even though he was in prison for the rest of his life, this was the happiest he had ever been. And that's what I want to transmit to other people. All of you on here have special gifts and things that you can give to people. And I do too. And one of the things that I've started is called the ripple experiment. And I ripple out art or ideas or positive motivation for entrepreneurs all over the United States. And what that does, I have found in giving that what we receive is far greater than what we can ever give. And I could do the ripple experiment just for myself, for my art, but I feel like as a collective, when you combine people and ripple that out into the world, it grows and it becomes bigger. So that's my project right now, is the ripple experiment, and it is growing as I sit here. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow. Well, Dawn, God bless you, right? And way to turn your purpose, your pain into purpose. And then just like you said, even through that, there's a way to be at peace. I think that's kind of what I walked away with as your final message there. And I think out of all the challenges in our lives, health and the loss of a loved one, I think those top the most, the most challenging, as the challenges that leave a big mark on us. So yeah, it's almost like a mission now. It's I feel that it's a mission now to be able to help others that are going through similar circumstances. So it was great. It's been great to get to know your friend and staying connected. And thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your message here. And we'll find ways to be able to help you and support you with advancing your cause as well at the end of the event as well. So thanks so much for sharing what you just did. From the heart, I must say.
Yes.
Felt it. Thank you, Dawn. And moving on to my next guest speaker today, Cheryl Meyer. Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on, and also looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better here today. Oh, Cheryl, you're muted.
There we go. I really want people to own their own health. And what excites me about this panel is there are many pathways to health. I just want people not to give up and to keep searching for their puzzle pieces until they find the answers that they're seeking to return to wellness. I was an entrepreneur. I had a very successful jewelry business. I was doing everything to make my business successful except take care of me. And when the whisper came, I ignored it, went through my head with the speed of light. So at first it was the little poke in the shoulder, then it was the NCIS slap, and finally the 2x4 came down and I literally couldn't get out of bed one morning. And although it took me some time to find out what had happened to my body, I had fibromyalgia, which is an autoimmune disease. And so my doctor wanted me to go for mental therapy. She didn't think there was anything wrong with me. And I was not going to accept that because I knew something was wrong. So I turned my business over to my very well trained staff and I dug in and I tripped into functional medicine, which is somewhat like integrative medicine that I think her name was Chloe was discussing. I came up with different pillars of health that I implemented, and it took 5 years, but I completely came back to wellness. And I focus mostly on eating the rainbow and not eating the standard American diet, which is ultra processed food, which gives our bodies very little to function on, whereas we need all the colors of the rainbow of whole organic foods so that all of the functions in our body are fed with positive energy and with nutrients and essential nutrients and phytonutrients so that our bodies can function at an optimal level. And the joy of doing that and adding all of these pillars of health is your life can be much better than you ever imagined. You're happier, you're more productive, you have better relationships. When you adopt healthy habits and you take care of yourself, everything that you want in this world becomes possible to you because you have the energy and you feel great to share it with everybody else. So I focus mostly on food, but I also do stress exercises and focus on sleep and all the other pillars that people need to put into place to reach their best possible self.
Yeah, right in line with what we were saying around, what's most important in health is our wealth, for sure. Without that,
Yeah, and when you lose it, you truly understand that without your health, you have nothing.
absolutely. Cheryl, what are some of the pillars that you cover around nutrition? That's pretty interesting. What can you share with us? What is it that you know that we don't know?
The biggie is that there's almost nothing in ultra processed food for your body to function on. It is dead gray food. And all of the big industries have hired scientists who have created food that looks, smells, sounds, acts like the real thing. But there's actually no nutrition in it at all. It dulls down all your hormones, it puts you completely out of balance. And there's a new study out last year that 88% of us are metabolically unfit, and it is directly attributed to the food that as a nation we're eating. We've got to take a hold of it, and we're robbing our children of their future because we're feeding them this dead food. And if we would return to what our grandparents or maybe your great grandparents ate of real whole organic foods, and organic because you don't want poison with every bite of food, then you start to feed yourself both all of the essential nutrients, which are the minerals and the vitamins, and something that plants have that is fairly new research called phytonutrients. 10 years ago, when I got sick, they thought there were 10,000 of them. They now know that there's 100,000 of them. They're in plants and they all have gifts for our body. And when they get together, they party to create health. And each color has a different category that it does for your body. The purples are really good for your brain, the greens are really good for your heart, the yellows are really good for your gut. And when they get together, that's when you start to feel real health throughout your entire body. And when you eat all the colors of the rainbow, you're eating all this real live food. I can almost feel it go through my veins. Um, I think there's a direct connection between the food we eat and depression. And we have 47% of our teenagers right now are considering suicide. And we have a huge depression problem with our adults. If we could change the way we feed our bodies, that also stimulates the vagal nerve. It takes us up, it balances out our hormones, it creates happiness in the body, whereas this dead food is actually promoting depression and bad feelings. There are other things that impact happiness that are also part of what I want everybody to do. I practice gratitude every day. It's a very high vibration practice. Along with self love, which is on the upper end of the vibration scale. Kindness is a high vibration, and all of those things also cultivate happiness. But in my opinion, it starts first with the food. If you're eating the right things to fuel your body, your brain, and your moods, you're 10 steps ahead of everybody else to be able to create a happy, fulfilling life.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. I think nutrition is such an important aspect. And I just could remember from prior generations of people were healthier and happier and living longer. And now, we've been just being marketed and bombarded with such, foods that who knows what's
And we
them.
seem to think we're going to grow old to take pills. You don't have to grow old to take pills. If you take care of your body and you adopt lifestyle habits now, you don't have to go there. You don't have to grow old. You do have to age, and it's not the same thing. And there's a lot of research being done. I'm 75. I feel better than I did in my 50s.
Wow. Well, you're a beautiful, you role model that piece so beautifully, because I do say that health in all the different dimensions, nutrition, physical, spiritual, all shows up in our energy, in the way that we look, right? And when we're doing work that we love, that also adds to our, hormones
Right.
of happiness and dopamine, and people see that on the outside. So I love that you just connected all those different dots for us
Yeah.
around nutrition, because I absolutely personally, and also I'm sure a lot of people feel that there's always so much more that we can learn. So I'm just grateful that so many people and experts that are out there educating and teaching around these topics. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Beautiful work
Thank you.
out there as well. Awesome. Well, we have actually moved along to our last two speakers for the day. I'd love to go to Allison Roberts next and also get to know her a little bit better. Allison, if you could share again some of the most meaningful moments that lead to the work you're doing today. Oh, I think you are muted. Let me see. I was hearing an echo for the mic. Let's see if it's still there. Yeah, we can still hear an echo. Can you maybe lower the volume on your end? Let's see if we can hear you better. Yes. Okay.
Okay, great.
We can hear you.
Awesome.
We just can't see you.
Oh, no. I am so sorry for all this. We're having storms here today, and I think that is part of what is happening right now. So can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful. I mean, out my window, it's literally pitch black here. It's crazy. So my name is Allison Roberts, and I am the founder of a company called Unapologetic Power. And the reason that I named my company Unapologetic Power is because before my big breakthrough about 15 years ago, I used to walk this planet apologizing for everything. I stepped on your toe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like I would say it like 22 times before, over just the smallest things. And when I came to the realization that even though I had done Reiki healing and therapy and spiritual healing and gone through like all of this education about the brain and studying cognitive behavior and all the things, that I still found myself waking up and asking, how did I get back here again? Because I was just repeating patterns over and over and over, regardless of all of this knowledge in my brain that I had. I was going to Louise Hay events. I was being coached by Lisa Nichols. I watched The Secret pretty much on repeat all the time. I was meditating, I was tapping, I was doing all the things. So on the outside, I looked like this very, put together, spiritual, successful entrepreneur. But on the inside, I just did not feel at all accomplished or successful or even enough or worthy. And what I came to understand is that I was not being the boss of my brain. And what I mean by that is that every intrusive thought that came in, I gave it my attention, my full attention. So I could be driving down the street having an amazing day, and then all of a sudden, just start feeling very ashamed. And instead of becoming curious about where the shame was coming from, I would just believe that there was innately something wrong with me and that I was not allowed to be happy. So I finally, like I said, I had a breakthrough, and like I said, I've had all this knowledge. And so what I did was I put my breakthrough together with all of my knowledge, and I came up with a program that I use to help people overcome their intrusive thoughts and their shame and their guilt. And the program is called Becoming the Boss of Your Brain. And it's in my Unapologetic Power umbrella. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs who have chosen a career that they feel really good about. And they've been told from their bosses, and they feel it within themselves, that they have an immense amount of potential, but they are just not meeting their goals. And no matter how many business functions they go to or how much training they have, they still cannot reach the level of success that they want to. And I help get them there by showing them how to overcome their intrusive thoughts.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. And I know a thing or two about misaligned success, looking great on the outside, feeling miserable on the inside. So I love that you go through that work with people with aligning that, because that's what matters, how we feel on the inside, because there's a lot of holes that we maybe have to kind of take a look into and kind of put together so that we're choosing the careers we're choosing, we're living the life that we live for the right reasons.
Exactly.
I've shared a lot about, we have a lot of resonation around the achievement piece. That's how it showed up for me, because I felt that unless I achieved, that's not good enough, right? So
Exactly.
connected to something for people. So the fact that you take the time to do that with everyone else, I think it's really an empowering piece, because once you do that work, it's like the bedrock for all the other successes that we want in all the rest of the areas that are most important to us in our lives. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful mission. And I'm glad that we're able to connect. Where are you actually based? And there's actually storms happening there? Where?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's like 70 degrees today, but it's like storming. It's like pitch black outside with wind and rain and hail and all this stuff. It's crazy.
My goodness. Well, stay safe, and thank you so much for, despite challenges, showing up here,
Yes.
share your
Thank
message.
you.
That's really, to me, that shows commitment for sure, and showing up for your mission. And I think that's a beautiful piece, that sometimes as entrepreneurs, unless we're connected to our purpose, it's so hard to do some of these different things because we don't understand why we're doing it. But once you're connected with that, then no storm can stop us.
That's right.
To be able to join rooms and go into spaces that we really feel that the people that we get to serve are there. So thank you so much for doing that. And then lastly, my last but not least speaker for the day will be Lauren Roskilly. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on, and also looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better as well.
Hi, Elona and everyone. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Sorry, my camera was off for a while. I didn't realize needed to be on.
You are all good. Thanks so much for turning that on and sharing your message today. What is it that you do out there in the world?
Okay, so my name's Lauren Roskilly. I am from Sussex in England, and I'm the founder of Mindful of Christ Ministries. So in the ministry, we deal with a lot of what you guys do from a Christian perspective. So mainly using Christian-based cognitive behavioral therapy, which was actually my first book, but using that through coaching and resources and helping people, primarily Christians, to live a beautiful and satisfying life by helping them to improve their thoughts. So kind of what we touched on earlier, the imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs, all those thoughts and beliefs about themselves, other people, and the world around them, and helping them to change them into more positive ways of thinking. So that can be about identity as well as other thoughts that one might find them believing about themselves. So, well, we can't go around asking people, have you got limiting beliefs, or do you suffer with imposter syndrome? Because it's their truth. It's when we believe those thoughts like, I'm useless, I'm unloved, I'm a failure, all those thoughts, they're actually our truths, aren't they? So it's about awareness, which is the first step, acceptance and action. So I bring my clients through that process and help them to make those positive changes so they can live the life that they've actually been promised. And like you were saying earlier, it comes down to our own choice. It comes down to how we respond to life storms, shall we say, and situations, and making that decision to make those changes.
Yeah, I love that. Lauren, I'm always a student of pretty much anything in life, but I'm always interested around the different religions and, the different principles that they teach and all of that. So based on the work that you do with people that are under the Christian faith, what are some of the connections between the work that you're doing and the faith piece? Is there like certain principles that you could share with us that come up, that show up, that if someone obviously hears the message that you're able to share, can resonate with some of the things that you're also doing in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, well, the ministry is based around Romans 12:2, so it's talking about, well, let's put it out there, it's being transformed by the renewing of your mind. So, and that's reassuring for a lot of people, because some people think that change isn't possible, or they're stuck being exactly the way they are. But according to Romans 12:2, we there is hope, that there is that change that people can make and they can go in for. And so when I work with my clients on that day-to-day basis, we are going through all those thoughts and beliefs. So we tackle depression and anxiety, and well, I went through it all myself, which is why the ministry came about. I went through that depression and self-harm, and I was brought out of that through submittance, like fully submitting to God. And so from there came the ministry. It's both been a journey. So my relationship with Christ and the ministry alongside it. So, and that's been the last 4 years.
Yeah. Lauren, thank you so much for sharing that insight and perspective. I think, whatever we believe in, faith is always a really important nutrient in our lives. So I just was curious to hear the connection, because like I said, I'm always fascinated to kind of learn from everyone. And then obviously at the end of the day, we all choose consciously. As long as we're choosing consciously, I think that's the piece that is going to resonate with most. So thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing that and all the work that you're doing out there. And I would love to go now and wrap up this event actually, and go back to all our amazing speakers and ask them for a final message that's connected to their purpose. And also, where is it that the audience can continue this conversation with them? So I'll go back to George.
Well, my message is that we all have a calling on our lives. It might not be clear at the beginning, but as life happens to us, things will start really exposing themselves to us. It's going to be through sometimes grief, adversity, catastrophic events, and that's really when we realize, wait a minute, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm being called to do. So don't silence it. Listen to it. Keep it close to your heart and pursue it. And where you can find me in all my social media platforms under my name at George_V Gonzalez. And if you go to my bio, you can actually download a free copy of my book.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, George. Chloe?
Yes, I would say stay curious, open, and at the same time, be focused on really what matters. And if you're looking for teachers, follow people that have been doing it with a lineage years. My book is Craniosacral Qigong, Pathways to Consciousness Power, and that's the merging of Eastern with Western medicine to the most cutting edge and most advanced form of wellness and healing. So thank you. Be well.
Thank you, Chloe. And did you also share where we can further connect with you?
You can either chloecouturier.com at my website, or craniosacralqigong.com. and chloecouture.com or craniosecochicong.com. I'm in the process of developing courses, and they should be available very soon. So hope you'll join us. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Elona.
Beautiful. Such a pleasure. And I will include all the links and have the speakers add all their links. So you don't have to, it'll be easier to connect with everyone, as connection is a very important value here for me, especially at the life school. So definitely connect amongst one another and find opportunities to nurture your relationships and partner and support one another. I think at the end of the day, that's a really important piece to the work that we all do. Everything can get magnified if we really support one another and align with one another in all the different ways that we can complement our work. Thank you so much, Chloe. And moving on to Tom.
Thank you, Elona.
Thank you all for your attendance. Enjoyed the conversation. My admonition to mankind is to unite. When we fight, when there's infighting, very little is accomplished. So I hope to unify mankind. That's my driving theme today.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I think you also shared, where is it that we can further connect with you? Did you? Can you share that?
I'll place my website in chat right now, scalarlight.com.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Tom. Dawn?
First of all, I want to thank you for having me as a guest, and with all these wonderful presentations. I'm just so honored to be a part of this. My whole premise is awakening brilliance after life's darkest moments, because that has been my life path. And I hope to help people like all of us get our message out into the world. A message of hope, peace, and radical self-love. In fact, that's one of the books I was in, Radical Self-Love, because that is the core of what we need to be successful, happy, joyous, and free. If you want to connect with me, you can check out my social media, Dawn Renee Beauvais. I put my middle name in there because it rhymes with my last, even though it looks like Bova. And if you want to be a part of the Ripple experiment, you can go to ripple.dawnreneebeauvais.com. And thank you again.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Trista?
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone here. So my message is that you are more powerful than you can imagine, and that all you have to do is figure out what is holding you back and let it go and have a vision, a higher vision for yourself. And I love how Dawn said radical self-love, because that is what changed my life, is radical self-love. So choosing your health, whether it's with, well, it starts with the food, like she mentioned before. And I just want everyone to know how powerful they are, and how special they are, and that any dream that they have is possible for them. And if you want to find me, I am on social media, Trista Goforth, on Instagram and Facebook. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Trista. Beautiful message. Allison? Oh, I think Allison had to leave. So I'll include her links at the end as well. And then Cheryl. Still muted, Cheryl.
The best place to follow me is on Facebook. I'm Cheryl Meyer, Meyer 3. I post on all different subjects of health every day, and I absolutely agree that health starts with self-love, because you have to adopt all the healthy habits in order to return your body to balance and to get yourself centered. If you come to me as a client and you have chronic pain or a chronic illness, my first thing I'm going to want you to do is take my Ditch the Standard American Diet class, because it's addictive. And I teach you how to ditch the sugar and the chemicals. And after the 4-week program, you start to feel enough better that you have the impetus to keep going and to keep eating more correctly because you can feel the difference. And it took a long time to get to where you are, so it doesn't happen overnight. But if you keep going down that path, you can come back to balance and to wellness. So follow me on Facebook, and I'd love to meet you.
Thanks so much, Cheryl. And Lauren.
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed listening to everybody's stories and what you all do. So my final message would be for those of you, to a reminder and an encouragement that you can live a beautiful and satisfying life no matter what is going on around you. You can build resilience and change those way of thinking. And yeah, so take that hope, be reassured, and feel free to find me over on our website. So it's mindfulofchrist.net. Facebook group is a private Facebook community where we all like-minded people encouraging and uplifting one another, and that's Mindful of Christ Community. Also on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube channel as well, as Mindful of Christ. So feel free to check me out, and I can book in your free session with me. And I also have 3 books available. I'm writing my 4th. Christian-based cognitive behavioral therapy is the first one. Indestructible Faith, Breaking Chains, and I'm working on spiritual battle strategies for spiritual warfare.
All right, beautiful. Well, thank you so much to all my amazing speakers today, and thank you all for watching, wherever you're going to watch this on replay or live. I hope that you had a lot of great key takeaways from today's event. And again, thank you for our speakers, and connect with all of them. That's absolutely going to add value to your personal life and business as well, to nurture these amazing relationships, because these are all heart-driven entrepreneurs. And in this community, I've also created a lot of other leverages and resources that I put together to be able to also support you with your mission and vision through our community expert program, which I will play a video for more information. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you with another event at another time. Bye, everybody. To be one of our community experts for our biggest global community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs and CEOs who are led by purpose, and of course also learn how to align their profits in their companies and in their businesses. Their legacy through entrepreneurship is really their way, their vocation, in how they actually get to do more good in the world. In our Community Expert C-Suite program, we have included amazing benefits for you as a purpose-driven entrepreneur, where in our audience of over 30,000 purpose-driven entrepreneurs, I warmly introduce you to high-level quality connections that can help you collaborate, further advance your cause, and also align your purpose and your profit as well. Another benefit for joining our community as a community expert is the connection between the free and also the paid speaking opportunities that we add into our membership every week, so that you get to create magic with you speaking and sharing your message with other audiences as well. This way, leveraging a lot of those high-level relationships to grow your own business and to be able to speak alongside the amazing work that you are doing on the day-to-day. We also invite you to our twice-a-year conferences. You'll be one of our keynote speakers as part of the community benefits, where of course you get visibility, showcasing the work that you're doing, but also being able to connect further with amazing purpose-driven entrepreneurs. Another benefit of being a member in the community is that you get to be featured in our monthly magazine, and you get to be a contributor to our magazine as well. And then lastly, of course, you get to participate in our community speaking events that we host every week inside our community, so that you can further share your message, but also, most importantly, be able to constantly connect to amazing people that you can add to your network to further nurture those relationships and form amazing strategic partnerships. in the long-term growing of your business as well. In order to find out more information and ways to join our community expert program, feel free to go to my website, elonalaparicoaching.com/events, and you'll be able to get more information around some of these benefits, but also new benefits that we're always adding to our community expert program, so that again, you can align yourself with the right community that's going to support you, but also most importantly, help you nurture and grow your purpose and your profit as well this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you with another episode.